Simmons, the rookie left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, started against the Arizona Cardinals in the first preseason game of the season and did incredibly well. But we knew he would. We followed him through training camp. We followed him through mini camp. We followed him after the draft. We knew so long as Josh Simmons was able to be healthy enough to be on the field, he was going to be one of these players that might absolutely dominate. And he did. At times, just absolutely making the starting defensive end for the Arizona Cardinals disappear. He lost, in my estimation, just a single rep. Now, I don't have a full grading process like the guys at PFF do, so, well, I got the grades from the guys at PFF, and here are all of the listed offensive tackles for the Kansas City Chiefs that played in that game, and we're going to look at some of them, and we're going to look at three players in particular, three rookie players for the Kansas City Chiefs in particular, and we're going to look at some not so great performances as well, but we will save that for last. We're going to eat dessert first. We are going to start here with a player that, for whom, I guess I should say, there is an entire video in the 2025 NFL Draft playlist here on the channel. That is Esa Pole, the UDFA out of Washington State. You will see in this row here, oh no, that's not the right one. This row here, 35 snaps he played. This column here, the first column with the appropriated colors, is for the overall game grade. The middle column with a color designation is for the run blocking grade, and the rightmost column is for the pass blocking grade. Esa Pole, in those 35 snaps, which I believe was the second highest overall snap count in the game. I believe C.J. Hansen at offensive guard had 38 snaps, just like Jason Godric here did. But Esa Pole played 35. In those 35 snaps, he graded out at 76.2. He had a run blocking grade of 64.3, and he had a pass blocking grade of 85.2. That is a very impressive number. He was the highest graded overall offensive tackle for the Chiefs in the game with that 76.2. The guy at second we will be talking about in a moment. He was the highest pass blocking graded offensive tackle in this game. The guy second we will be talking about in a moment. The guy third we will be talking about as well. All three of the highest pass blocking scores among listed offensive tackles for the Kansas City Chiefs were by rookies. Let that sink in. Now, I know that it is possible to look at this and say, well, but he was playing against the third stringers. And that's true. Absolutely, that's true. But those third stringers were playing for their football livelihoods as well. It is worth noting that Esa Pole does not have terribly much football playing experience. He was a basketball player in high school. He went the community college route and worked himself up, and all of a sudden here he is in the NFL. Now, there were times where he looked a little bit goofy on the field because his technique is not there, but his effectiveness is there. Esa Pole was very effective in this game in pass blocking. And frankly, pass blocking is the big one, right? We know amongst ourselves that the Kansas City Chiefs can go to and win a Super Bowl without a running game, but the passing game is where the breathing room for this Chiefs team happens. And frankly, they can go to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl without much of a passing game either. So Patrick Mahomes just has to be big in the biggest moments, and he has done that consistently throughout his career. But who is Esa Pole? Let us take a look. I'm going to do it. We're going to look at the RAS score. So 7.3 overall score for Esa Pole. Not the most impressive number there, right? over 33 and a half inch arms, so that's a good number there. 6'5" and 2/10 height. That's a good number. 323 pounds, a good number. 23 bench press reps, an all right number, not bad. 29-inch vertical leap's a pretty good number. A 5.3 40-yard dash is not impressive, but it's passable. And here, I think, is one, probably, in my opinion, the most impressive of the actual timed number. So he didn't time his height or his weight, right? But he timed a 20-yard short shuttle of 4.72. That is a score of 7.1 out of 10, which is all right, but I think that it is even more impressive when you take into account that he is scoring a 7.1 on an agility speed drill when he has a score of 8.95 on height and 8.32 on weight. So he is a big offensive lineman that is above average in the agility. Now, the 8.03 three-cone drill, not quite as impressive. Okay, but he is still an agile guy. And I think that shows on the football field, because a lot of it too, because he is a reactive blocker at this point in his career. So interesting to see there. Josh Simmons with an 80.1 grade for pass blocking in this game. There's not really much to say there for Josh Simmons. 11 snaps, a 65.7 overall grade, a 59.6 run blocking grade, and an 80.1 pass blocking grade. Now, the run blocking grade might seem to be a bit worrisome, right? I don't think it really is. I have no reason to believe that Josh Simmons will struggle in run blocking. Maybe it was just a bad couple reps, right? He is very big. He is very strong. He is very mobile. He is very agile, and he gets out there. I think there will be moments where Josh Simmons is absolutely dominant in the run blocking game, which really starts to sound interesting if the Kansas City Chiefs can get their left guard situation figured out. One of the reasons that I had so much hope for Kingsley Suamataia is the fact that if he becomes a starting level left guard, the Kansas City Chiefs all of a sudden have a right guard that is dominant in the running game, a center dominant in the running game. They would have a left guard in that scenario that was very good in the running game, and then you would have a left tackle that was very good in the running game, meaning almost your entire offensive line good for run blocking as well, and the Chiefs could get that lead, get a 10-point lead in the third quarter, get a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and then just run the clock out. That would be one of those things. Then we move on to the guy who had the second highest overall grade and the second highest pass blocking grade, Dalton Cooper, another rookie in this class. Dalton Cooper with a 73.5 overall and 83.9 pass blocking grade. He is a UDFA out of Oklahoma State with a 9.01 overall RAS score, 33.5-inch arms, 6'5" and 4/10 height, 323 pounds, 26 bench press reps. Then we get to the speed numbers. A 4.99 40-yard dash is an elite speed for an offensive lineman. Now, I think there's a video for Dalton Cooper in the 2025 draft picks playlist here on the channel as well. I think that Dalton Cooper I think that this is an NFL offensive lineman. Will it be with the Kansas City Chiefs? I don't know. I think that Esa Pole is destined for the practice squad this season. I think you can pass him through waivers and no one is going to bother with him too much, because I think that his form, his technique is so far away that do we really want to claim this guy and have to spend all of that time with him, and maybe he doesn't make it? Dalton Cooper, I think very well might get snatched off the waiver wire. I don't know if you can pass Dalton Cooper through to your practice squad. This is a guy that I think is absolutely an NFL offensive lineman. I think he is proving it here. You see again that he had the second highest grade, the second highest pass blocking grade of any offensive tackle, any listed offensive tackle on the Kansas City Chiefs. And there's going to be a very interesting numbers crunch on this roster. Last year, Ethan Driscoll made the roster, made the opening 53, and was never off of the 53, despite being a UDFA out of Marshall. He is monstrous, 6'8". So he's bigger than either of these guys. You could argue that he has more potential than either of these guys. I do think Ethan Driscoll will form himself into a starting right tackle at some point in his NFL journey. It's hard to see that happening here, right? Dalton Cooper is another guy sort of along those lines. I think that he is a starting offensive lineman at some point. I had said, I believe in that the video I made on him as he was being signed as a UDFA, that I don't know if he really has the bend to play guard. Maybe he does, okay? So whatever it is that they're doing with him, they seem to have a plan for him, which is reassuring. I just don't know if the Chiefs can make the numbers work in order to keep Dalton Cooper. I just don't know if that's in the cards. Those are the three rookies, all three rookies that really stood out for the Kansas City Chiefs in that first preseason game. So let's look at some of the things that were not optimal. Well, we can start right here with Kingsley Suamataia. Kingsley played 11 snaps and ended up with a 28.5 pass blocking grade, the worst on the team. That is less than optimal. That is suboptimal. That is not good. But playing 11 snaps means that it's pretty quick work to tank that number, right? You're playing 11 snaps. 5 of them were passes. You played 11 snaps, 4 of them were passes. We'll do it this way so it's easier. Okay, well, maybe you got blown up by a linebacker on one of those plays. All of a sudden, your max number is 75. Maybe you get taken a little bit of a ride for a second rep. Maybe you lose the rep, but it doesn't result in anything bad because you died slow enough. Well, all of a sudden, you got a 50%. Then it's just one more pass play to flub before you're at a 25% if all you have is those 4 snaps. So can't maybe necessarily read too much into it, but he did not look good. He did not look good in this game. I thought that there were moments where he looked like he was all right, but I think a lot of the trouble with Kingsley at this point seems to be not strength, seems to be not knowledge of assignment. It seems to be his feet. His feet seem to be getting him in most of the trouble. So that is interesting to note. Then we have the second worst pass blocking grade. Wanya Morris with a 28.6, which suboptimal. Wanya, in my opinion, looks worse than he did last year, which might actually not be a bad thing. Well, that sounds nonsensical. If Wanya Morris is regressing this season, taking steps backwards from where he was, how could that be not a bad thing? Well, like this. Sometimes what happens is a coach says you have to work on X, Y, and Z. You have to work on your feet. You have to work on your hands. Gives specific assignments to the player. It's easy to get lost in those assignments. I think we saw it with Jalen Royals during that last week of training camp, focusing on things, and all of a sudden he's dropping passes. This is only, by the way, not a catastrophe if Wanya Morris does not have to be on the field. If there are things he needs to clean up, and that is what led to a 28.6. So, for example, your right foot is too far back when we get into our pass sets. Your right foot is tipping off the defense for one, but it also inhibits your kick step. Okay, Now he goes into the game focusing on those things instead of making the block. And that gets him blown up. That gets him a 28.6 pass blocking grade, less than optimal. So it's possible that what we are seeing with Wanya Morris is actually one step back to take 2 steps forward. Maybe. Right? That is a big maybe. That is all I have for this video. There are going to be 2 playlists and a video on your screen that YouTube thinks you might like from this channel. And who am I to argue with our new artificial intelligence overlords? I, for one, herald their coming. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.